Great. So I'm so happy to see you virtually after a long time, Stutee.
Listen, I am
Nice to have
thrilled. I am thrilled you're doing this.
you. Nice to talk to you. And I loved your role in Dilli Dark. It was
Thank
just
you.
so funny and encapsulated, I think, all the Delhi aunties that you must have observed.
Yeah.
So tell me about your role in it, and then tell me about the film as well.
So, I think, as they say, I've always had a slightly dramatic Nautanki bone in me, which is why,
Yeah,
being born and brought up in Delhi, I'm also half Punjabi, half Bengali. I think from a very young age, you kind of learn to observe the differences and the
yeah.
idiosyncrasies of each community. So the role came actually very easily to me. Like you said, it was an amalgamation of everything that I had observed. And
Yeah.
I used to also do a character called Pammi Kaur for Quint a
Oh,
couple of years back.
okay.
And that was very similar to
Tell
this.
me a
Like,
little about Pammi Kaur.
so Pammi Kaur was this character who would do actually a satire, social commentary, but she would be this really Punjabi know-it-all, Pammi who had a really tongue-in-cheek response to a lot of what was happening in Delhi at the time, like whether it's Malia going away, whether it's the AAP government and Kejriwal and all of that. So Pammi would write a letter to the person, and it would be really tongue in cheek, and that came very naturally. I also had a wardrobe which was like, it was literally like two people, right? So I had a
Yeah.
wardrobe for Pammi. So all the
Okay.
jhatak pattas and I would make a sindoor with a red lipstick and all of that. So somewhere I think
Before Operation Sindoor.
oh my God, long before Operation Sindoor, oh my God. But yeah, and then I kind of discontinued because I also wanted to be taken seriously as a journalist, as a film critic, and I thought somewhere, like what was happening, but it was fun while it lasted, and I think there was a little bit of pummy left in me, and that got a chance to come out with Geeta Handa.
Right. So tell me about Geeta Handa. You told me about Pammi Kaur. Tell me about Geeta Handa. Who is she? What does she want out of life? And Dilli
I
Dark is
thought.
so much about so many of the hypocrisies and the opinions and the sort of the typical, very stereotypical Delhi issues,
Very true. Very true. I heard about Pammi, but I heard about Geeta Handa, and I immediately loved the character, and I'll tell you why. If you've seen the film, you realize,
Yeah, yeah,
and this is without giving out spoilers, nobody really gets what they want, right? They have to
yeah,
make do with what they get. But actually, I think Geeta Handa is the only character that got the best out of whatever there was, that was being offered. Here's a
right.
woman who, cocks a snook at everyone around her, and she's just ki bhaiya bacha chahiye. I'll believe what you want me to believe.
Yeah,
Even there, she has this thing going on with the god woman,
yeah, yeah,
saying, "Ha ha, meetha hai, ye hai, wo hai."
uh-huh,
Then I thought
exactly.
that
She's
that
willing
character,
to do anything, just
yeah,
to get her
yeah.
way.
And
Very
nobody would
Delhi.
have thought that she will not just, I mean, of course, there's a lot of like collectively, every time I've observe people in the theater watching it, they go collectively, oh, when she gives her
Yeah, yeah,
jewelry away and they feel like
yeah,
she's been conned. And then you have that scene where they see she's living her best life. Like she's told even her in-laws that, go to hell. I don't want anything. And I thought
yeah, right.
that was the most endearing thing about this character. So I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. A lot of what I'm wearing is actually my own wardrobe. In the
Really?
so all those, yeah, those dupattas and not all the jewelry, but like most of it, yes, yeah.
So I wonder, have you got feedback? More people want to cast you?
Listen, I was very nervous. Okay. I was
Uh,
like, also because I'm not an actor. It's not like I've
yeah,
suddenly said that's what I want to do. So I always thought that I don't know if people are going to be kind to me, but they've been very nice. I mean, thank you for speaking to me, and you're making me feel like I've actually done something of significance.
I
But
loved your character. I thought it was just so spot on. Anyway, I have a soft spot for Delhi aunties, but he also is just so adorable, despite in many ways
yeah,
being
yeah.
despicable. She's also adorable,
So but performance wise, I think people have loved it, and every time I get a message I get so thrilled. And I think one of the most lovely compliments that somebody gave me was that, we went in thinking we'll see Stuti. There's no Stuti in it. I thought
Yeah,
that's like the
that's
compliment
lovely.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, that people did
So
not
how
see.
is it? How is it now balancing this rising stardom with your actual journalistic career?
Oh, it's so funny, right? This was what I was trying to be away from. So I think as a journalist, you'll understand this better, and you're actually a veteran. That in life, everybody wants to label you
Yeah.
like you're either a journalist, either an actor. I was a nerd growing up. Okay, I was a studious kid who actually thought she'll eventually do PhD and teach. This all of this, my radio
Where
journey.
did you study? Where did you study, Stuti?
So
Which?
Summerfield School and Jesus and Mary College. Then I did my
Oh,
master's
nice.
in literature, South Campus, and always in love with the microphone. Always this kid who, was on stage, or whether dramatics, whether debating or anything. But I always thought, because my parents were in academics, that eventually that's what you do. You do your MPhil, and
Yeah.
then you'll do PhD and you'll teach. And my radio also happened because I thought that now I'm entering the boring phase of my life where all
Right.
extracurricular activities will end. So let me just go and give my voice CD to AIR. And I never thought that I would be selected, not because I wasn't good, but because like that's not meant for me. I'm just supposed
Right.
to become this, professor and teach and write books and be a total nerd. And then when that happened, and there's one thing that, again, you're a nerd, so you have to study. But I was a
Yeah.
nerd who also loved the finer things in life. I like to dress up. And I realized that that was looked down upon. That's very superficial
Yeah.
because you're not
Yeah.
supposed to do that. Similarly, when you enter radio, so great, you have to watch films and you have to talk about movies and songs. But that's why I did a show called Stutee's Book Club, because I was like,
Book
who's
club.
to
Exactly.
decide?
Yeah.
Who's to decide my listener? And why are we dumbing down radio
Yeah.
as a medium and saying that no, people are not interested in anything else but just, random bakwas or something like that? That's what they think RJs do, right? Mic on karo, tumhe baat karna pasand aata hoga to tum kar lo. But I wanted to retain that identity as well, saying that no, if I like to read, I'm sure my listener likes to read as well.
Right.
If I don't like cheap double meaning humor, I'm sure they don't like it too. And that's never something I've indulged in on
Right.
radio. Then digital happened with my video reviews, like digital
Yeah.
on camera reviews. Earlier, I used to do audio reviews. And I think that opened the floodgates because I was just exploring this as a medium. I was never scared of the camera. I would, I realized that I could work with expressions, that while radio and audio was about silences or changing your voice tonality,
Yeah.
video was a
Yeah.
lot about expressions and your get up, what you wear. I remember I did Bahubali dressed as the queen herself. I think I
Where
did
did you get the
Rajni.
Where did you get the crown from, Sarojini Nagar?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It used to be
Obviously.
crazy. Okay. So and then I remember being Amitabh for one of his films and wearing a shawl. And so I was like, this is great fun. But I think that's a problem with our profession, that people tend to look down upon you because you're not
Yeah.
acting cerebral enough. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, that's not true. You can have fun. And this is also content that people are
Yeah.
consuming. So of course, I am
Yeah.
reviewing a film, but mine is also content.
Yeah.
And somebody told me, oh, the Stuti who writes text reviews is so different from the Stuti who does video reviews. And I have consciously or unconsciously always wanted to avoid these labels. I never wanted to be called just an RJ or just a journalist or just a film critic or just an actor. I wanted to explore everything, and I thought if you're sincere, you kind of will eventually. So um, when this film came, it wasn't so odd for me, apart from the fact that I was a little concerned about how that will appear to others. What will
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
feel? And but overall, it's been great. I don't know how things are. I mean, I'm really it's not like I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm reading scripts and I, some things I cannot talk about right now. No, none of that.
I've
But
signed an NDA.
yeah, I'm not allowed to speak about these things now. But I'm like, why not? I mean, this is fun. If I get something interesting to do, I'm going to jump at it. I think it just is another way to express yourself, and I'm so glad that this has been liked.
So, Stuti, tell me, a lot of people must be asking you, because you've also now, how many years has it been? More than 10 for sure, right? While you've
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah.
uh, uh, uh,
15. Yeah,
15,
yeah,
right? Since you began as an RG and then
yeah.
and you moved from Delhi to Mumbai as well. I think, talk a little about that. Why did you want to do that?
Okay, so one aspect of it was very personal. I lost my father,
Right.
and then I found it very tough to live in that house and in
Yeah.
that city. So it was also me running away. But I got a better opportunity. I was an RJ. I used to host the morning show in Delhi, and then I was trusted enough to actually manage a team, and now I head content for Fever Mumbai. So that was, of course, a change. But I always thought with what I was doing, eventually somewhere the access that you get in Mumbai, and you know that better
Yeah.
with actors, with the kind of work I was doing. I'm a
Right.
chat host. I review films. It's just easier to navigate all of that in this city. The reviews happen on time. You meet the
Yeah.
actors easily. You don't have to wait them to fly down to Delhi. So I think in that sense, I've made peace with this city. My shooting for Dilli Dark actually happened in Delhi. I got it while I was in Delhi. So
Okay.
it's not like I shifted to Bombay thinking I'm going to get acting offers. I had already shot for it. I did the dubbing in Bombay after I had shifted here. But yeah, it's just very interesting now to do this.
So, Stuti, I mean, a lot of people must be asking you, what does it take to be doing content across platforms, And you've also kept pace with technology as video has grown. You've also sort of grown with it and film, whatever. And I think this is fantastic. This is the kind of journalism that we will eventually all have to do if we want to succeed. You cannot any longer just pretend that, okay, you're a great print journalist and that's it. You have to
Yeah.
adapt to other mediums, or if you're a great television journalist and that's it, you have to do it all, or at least try to do it all. So when you get asked, and I'm sure you get asked by young people, young women especially, what does it take to be a journalist in today's times? Because it seems that the profession is dying, but I always feel that actually there are far more opportunities now, in a way.
At the end, it is what you get to your profession that matters
Right.
to your position. I think
Yeah.
it's so much about what you stand for. So whether
Yeah.
it's print, it's TV, it's radio. I mean, there's so many young people in my team who want to be RJs, and I tell them that even content creation, even individual content creators who we call influencers, at
Yeah.
the end, what matters is what is it that you want to say? What is it
Right.
that you stand for? And I think even
Right.
just as a person who consumes a lot of this content and is guilty of doom scrolling on Instagram, I tend to gravitate towards influencers or content creators who stand for something. So at the
Something.
end of
Yeah.
the day, it's your voice that matters. If,
Right.
for example, I'm so happy I get to do a show called the Superwomania Show, which
Yeah.
is about
That's right.
celebrating women. It is about, because again, for the longest time, radio had this set template where you would have an afternoon show speaking to the housewives at home, and
Yeah.
that kind of show would deal with recipes and discussing cereals. And while, we've changed even as a society and how we consume content, I could never associate with that content, because that's not me. I never saw those serials. I never saw my mother watch those serials, so I could never do that, right? So I still remember a conversation when I was starting off with my programming head many years back, who said, these are the segments you must do. And I said, can you for a minute forget that I'm a woman? I'm a female RJ, and tell me now, what is it that I can do? So, a lot of what today, I mean, humor, of course, sells, and a lot of these little skits, but at the end of the day, it is what you stand for. I think
Yeah.
with the kind of people I platform through my show, are women who are not just words, they do action. And it depends on what is it that you passionately feel about. I am an RJ. I could have just ensured that my Lakshman Rekha, as they say, was limited to
Yeah.
ye gana chal raha hai aapke liye, or playing a prank on radio, but that was not adding value to my life or the person who was listening to me. And so I wanted to talk to authors. I wanted to discuss films in a way where they don't get intimidated, because I'm not alien, but I'm one of them, telling them in a fun way that, hey, don't you think that's casual sexism? And are you really okay with it? I'm so proud that we talk about casual sexism, and we're making it palatable to the man or the person on the street without using big words, without
Exactly.
making them
Yeah.
feel कि ये पता नहीं ये क्या है, ये फेमिनिस्ट टाइप क्या है. मैं तो बोलती हूँ कि अगर कोई आपको बोले फेमिनिस्ट टाइप, तो आप उनको, how do you explain stuff to them? So it
Right.
is
Right.
just trying to find your audience and finding a way to reach them. And as somebody who was on stage debating, somebody who was into elocution, that is what I've always been taught, that speak to the person and speak to them in a
Yeah.
way that they understand. So agar radio
Right.
mein, I was in Delhi, I used to have smattering of Punjabi and Hindi, because that's the kind of audience, right?
Right.
Now my show is national, so it's English and Hindi, because I do pan India. Similarly, when I did reviews, and so many people said that, it looks like it's superficial, but actually, if we listen to you, we realize you
Yeah.
talk about everything: cinematography, writing,
Yeah.
why you think a male gaze, all of that. So I think it's just about simplifying it, and everybody needs to get off their high horse and understand that. Because I remember for the first time going to Mahadev Road, when I was just doing reviews for radio, and a very senior journalist asking, radio में भी reviews होते हैं. And I was like, oh my God, I mean, how do I even answer this? To cut to now, when I know that, and then I was told, तुम अभी जाके review कर दोगी. And I was like, ma'am, I don't have the luxury. They're waiting for my review. So, I'll finish the film at 9 and I'll go to the studio at 10 and I'll record it. You must sleep over it. And now that luxury of sleeping over a film, nobody has.
It's gone for
Gone.
everyone.
Yeah, so I think it is because that's how things are now. It's late, by
Yeah.
the problem is, by the time your newspaper comes in the morning, I'm still a newspaper reader, but half of the news I know because I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. That's how things are being consumed. So it is about staying, keeping up with the times, and basically just being humble enough to speak in a language that your audience understands. So whether
Yeah.
it's films, it's radio, it's TV, do it sincerely, but do it so that you reach maximum people. And aren't we
Right.
all fighting for
But
everyone's attention today? I mean,
of
at the end of
course,
the
and without sort of being untrue to yourself.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's very important,
That's
isn't
true. I
it?
mean, that goes without saying.
That's a given.
You do
Yeah.
something, yeah, you do something, you do it with sincerity, irrespective of what profession you're in. But I
Right.
think more so with journalism. I mean, specifically TV news, I don't know how it can come up from its dumps, because it's really, I think
Yeah.
we've gone beyond.
I think that era is over now.
Yeah, it's
It's
really sad. It's really sad. I was also one of those who thought Stutee Ghosh star news, like we all
yeah,
grew up
yeah,
with NDTV boom, where you thought,
yeah.
okay, war embed journalists banenge, and we'll report and all of that. But that's gone now. Now our anchors sit in the studio, and graphic designers are making them fly or dive or and stuff like that. It's crazy. So yeah, now I don't know about TV news, but yeah, otherwise you do your work sincerely, but you do have to speak in a language that your audience understands. Your audience is becoming younger, and your audience
Yeah,
has less attention span, and so it's so important to speak to them, given
right.
those
And
guidelines.
also, Stuti, I'm sure people have asked you about AI and, ma'am, are we going to lose our jobs? What's going to happen? AI is going to replace us. What do you have to say to such
I have
questions?
to
Because they're
understand.
all, I mean, serious questions.
No, I had a minor panic attack. So I luckily I'm a little troglodyte. Okay, so I don't take to tech so easily. So I knew what AI was and Chat GPT and all till I saw one of the interns in my team actually use it. Okay, so the person showed
Yeah,
me a prompt. You give them the prompt and it comes out. And I was like, what? You will stop using your brain? Like technology is ensuring we stop using our brain, the only thing
yeah,
that we have. But what I've also seen is, so I panicked. I said, people can write books like this, scripts can be written. And if you speak to insiders in the industry, they- it's a gloomy picture, right?
yeah,
I mean, AI is apparently sitting on judgment on scripts. People are,
right.
uh, you know, judging it on how technology views it and stuff like that. But I still feel that it's so hard to replace authentic human intelligence, like human creativity. How do you beat that? So I don't know if
Replicate it.
if
Yeah,
yeah if AI can, if sophisticated technology comes, and we'll be redundant. But that's how I think the world ends, right? Because when you stop
yeah,
using
yeah,
your creativity, imagination, that's all we have. What do we have? We have
yeah.
our imagination, our creativity, and how we want to express it. And if slowly we stop using that faculty, it will be done. And I think that's the end. Probably vocal yoga. But till then, I mean, use it. I mean, I've tried. I've also given prompts to ChatGPT. I'm never happy with what I read, and then I have to kind of sit
Yeah.
and
Do it yourself
do it
eventually.
yourself. So yeah, it's like a younger cousin writing something, and you having to proofread everything. So for me, it's still very tedious. I'm like, it's a lot of checking that one needs to do.
I agree. You'd rather do it yourself.
Yeah, for now, but I don't know.
Yeah,
And it's a dystopian world, and you never know if things will, you know. But we are living in a world, right? You have a watch that tells you when to move and how many steps, and you have apps that tell you how many calories. So we're basically in a society where we are being pulled away from in gathering yourself,
yeah,
अगर आपको ये नहीं पता कि you're done eating, if you are unable to read that signal, unable to decide what you want to eat, unable to write what you are feeling, then that's, I think a script needs to be made on that. So that's another story in itself.
And Stuti, before you go, I'd also like to ask you, you've been observing the film industry from Delhi and now closer from Mumbai, and everybody seems to be talking about the crisis, specifically in the Hindi film industry. So, what really do you think is happening? Is it stars that are too expensive, not enough originality, people second guessing themselves? What really is happening in the industry currently?
I think it's a combination of all these factors. I mean, stars and entourage costs have been a thing, right? And for the longest time. And
Yeah,
now you have the big producers like a Dharma or Yash Raj talking about it. But it's always been the case, which is why, unless the star was willing to not take a fee or take a fee cut, young independent filmmakers could never hope to have big stars. It was always the hunger of the
absolutely.
actor or the star to want to star in a film that cannot afford their star fee at all.
Right.
But I think what is really, really happening, because we've gone, and this has happened since COVID, where we went through a phase where, obviously, for reasons known to everyone, the theater business collapsed, okay, and you had some really trashy films being sold to OTT who thought that's what Indian audiences want. But the thing
Yeah.
is that no matter how much AI you get, Indian audiences are not stupid. You know, the audience is smart, it's hungry for solid good scripts. I mean, what is one of the most defining features about OTT is that you look at an actor who's not a star and you say, how good is he? People like Abhishek
Yeah.
Banerjee, or you know, even like Manoj Bajpayee and Rajkumar Rao, they all got this lease of life with the OTT audiences saying they're so good. Vijay Varma, they're not stars, but they got that stamp, Jaideep Pehlawat. And now, unless we come up with something really, really original, because we're constantly still going, you know, there's been an unsaid divide where earlier, so we've done away with all single screen theaters and we had multiplexes for different
Yeah.
voices, different kind of films. Now the multiplexes, you realize only the single screen content is what is working. So you have the loud
Exactly.
maar dhar wali films that are happening, and anything that's nuanced, that has layers, that could have a female protagonist or a story that has a range, are all being dumped on OTT. So again, it's like public
Exactly.
space is shrinking for women
Yeah.
slash led nuanced content. And you have this really toxic, hyper masculine stuff happening. Like I was so disappointed even with the last film I saw, Thug Life. I mean, I was like,
Yeah.
you did not, the way the women characters were written thinner than wafers, like there was no layer, whereas it could have been so interesting if you had just kept up with the Rajshri Deshpande character or even Trisha's character. That what are these
Trisha.
things?
Trisha's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you showed that, art se leke 80 saal ki women will not go out without a man's presence. I mean, what was it? And
Mm.
that's why this was such a predictable gangster saga. And even somebody like a Mani Ratnam couldn't save it. And it's not doing well, right? So you cannot feed the audience what it's already had. And that is becoming a problem. Anything which is different is being pushed on OTT or not getting enough screens. So unless we realize that it might have worked for a Kabir Singh, for an animal tea, because it was still novelty then. We're done and dusted with it. So unless we get something new, I think this problem will continue. Though Amir Khan seems to have, thought out a plan, and I think that could be interesting as well. I met him and he was very clear. He said, no, even this whole thing of it releasing on YouTube 6 months later with
Right.
pay-per-view is not happening. I'm not saying that. The film is available only in theaters. Now let's see if
Right.
that will get the audiences to the theater, and then we'll get an answer if audiences are just rejecting going out, like it doesn't matter what it is. Are they really that lazy? Or they'll come out and they'll say, it's Amir Khan, this looks like a different film. I will invest that money, I will buy that ticket, and I'll go and I'll watch it. I think we'll have to wait and see how Sitare Zameen Par does. But
Stuti, to that, I wanted to ask you. For instance, I went to watch Houseful 5A just because I wanted to see. I mean, it was more of a social experiment. Sad to say, I couldn't complete it. But I mean, there was such a barrage of people there and people who really wanted to enjoy themselves. And there was hardly any, there weren't any enough laughs in the
yeah,
audience. Now, I don't
yeah.
know how it's done, but people are desperate to have a good time.
I can't, I
And,
see
and,
exactly.
and the industry continues to fail them with asinine humor passing off as comedy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, if this is how Houseful 2 will be written, we're better off with AI writing our scripts and dialogues, because
I agree.
so bad. Because even I was looking forward to Houseful, and I'll admit I cannot differentiate one Houseful 1 from one Houseful 3.
I
I don't know,
agree.
but I was like, "Hi, yeah, let's just go," because
Let's just go and enjoy
हाँ,
ourselves.
and I
And that
thought
was
हाँ
the
ठीक है,
sentiment
sexist
there.
होगा,
Yeah.
ये होगा, वो होगा,
Yeah.
सबका I had my expectation was really low, but this is the bits, you know. And again, for how long do you keep listening to that same homophobic, sexist jokes? You know, it's really really just sad. So Houseful 5 was a lost opportunity. Like you said, people are
Yeah.
really tired. Life is tough. You want to go and you don't want to intellectualize and you want to have a good time. And you did not have a good time watching Houseful 5, and that's really bad. That's sad.
Yeah.
And and I hope the
I would
makers don't have a
recommend that
fake
they
success
watch.
part.
I recommend they watch Dilli Dark instead if they want to have a really good time. It's so
That's so
funny.
that's so
It's so
sweet.
funny,
Thank
and
you.
yet it makes a point, which is, I think, the best kind of cinema, isn't it? It entertains you, but it also leaves you thinking. And that's how I think all our films should be. And I wish it had lasted longer in the halls, but that's
But
the
so
thing,
tough,
you
right?
know?
Bookended by two big releases. You
Yeah.
know, this is the
How
only
tough
window.
is it?
Yeah, the only window. And I think the reason Dilli Dark or any such film will really do well is it comes from a place of truth. Like it's from personal
Yes.
experience. You
Yeah.
want to say something, you're very clear about what is it that you want to say. So it will always have an impact. You will find an audience because you know authenticity, originality will find its audience. It's the problem is that now that's a movie business where if you're bookended with two big releases, that's the only window that you get. So somewhere we
Yeah.
all know that it won't last for more than a week because all the
But
scripts will go to Thug and Houseful.
yeah, but at least it came to the halls, which
Yeah,
in this
that's
day and age is also a huge thing, you know.
I
It's a
know.
big thing to happen, and people got to see Geeta.
Geeta is, I mean, I still imagine Geeta as, you know, wearing that khadi ka kurta and just glowing in the glory. But yeah, it was a character that was so sweet. Yeah, I really like Geeta. And I like that she cocked a snook at everyone. Like her mother-in-law, she's like, I don't want kids, keep your husband, keep your son, keep your jewelry, I'm free. I thought that's so cool.
Wonderful. It's such a pleasure to talk to you always, Tuti. I wish you all the best and many more Geetas to you, or other Geetas, other kinds of Geetas to you. Maybe a Mumbai socialite next,
It means so
well
much that you've
observed.
done this conversation. Like I said, it's not easy. People from the fraternity always will have like, you know, has she crossed over and stuff like that? How do you,
No,
if
no, no,
she's
no,
being a
no.
journalist? So,
I love crossovers of all kinds. I think they're the best. I think the more we experiment, the better it is for all of us. You open different doors and other people then walk through as well, right? So
thank
why
you. That's
keep these walls and boundaries? Thank you
yours.
so much, Tuti, and I wish you
Thank
all the best.
thank you. Thank you. Are you
Thanks.
in Delhi? Are you in Delhi right now?
Yes, yes, yeah, very much. Always
Sure.
have been.
I'll ping you when I'm in the
Thank
city. We'll meet.
you. Please do. See you. Bye.